Hello and welcome to another episode of Six Pillars to Health, where we discuss various topics on how we can all prevent, treat, and sometimes even reverse chronic disease through the evidence-based therapeutic interventions of lifestyle medicine. My name is Dr. Victoria Collazo, PharmD. I'm a board-certified lifestyle medicine pharmacist as well as the host of this show. Today, we are going to be talking about making behavioral changes, right? Strategies to ensure that the health changes that we start implementing become consistent and then become lifelong habits that will aid in our overall health. And today, I'm so excited to welcome personal trainer and longtime friend of mine, Daniel Vaxter. He is the CEO of Crash Monkeyz, LLC, and we're going to be talking about making changes because if there's one person who I know is all about sticking to his changes and remaining consistent, it's Danny, and I'm so happy to have him here. Welcome, Danny, on to Six Pillars to Health. I'm so excited to talk about making behavioral changes with you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I greatly appreciate this opportunity. I didn't know that this was going to be this professional. You really did your thing out here, girl.
Thank you. Danny and
I really appreciate this. And me and Vic, we go way back. And it's just so beautiful to watch your growth.
Absolutely. Danny and I go all the way back to high school. We ran track together and he was fire. Like, he was fire then, he is fire now. And I'm so happy to have him here. So it's nice to see how we've all just grown throughout our years. But talking about making behavioral changes, and we know that making behavioral changes can be challenging. You know, influencing health behaviors is more than just creating exercise routines or reviewing food choices. It's more than just motivating, right? It's more than just checking progress. In order to be successful in helping individuals adopt and maintain healthier lifestyles, we as health professionals need to understand the mechanisms, right? We need to understand the how and the why, because ultimately it's not one size fits all, right? How you and I learn are different, how we maintain momentum, how we become consistent, they're all different. And as health professionals, we need to know that. So in your professional experience as a personal trainer for a long time, what are some effective behavioral change strategies or techniques that viewers who may be interested in starting a fitness program and or even maintaining consistency, right? Because we all start out super gun-ho and then life gets in the way. What are some strategies, effective techniques that you have seen?
Well, one of the first things I do with clients, especially new clients who hardly ever trained, is I give them a few things to stick by just so they don't get bombarded. You know what I'm saying? Like the first thing I usually do is just tell people to start drinking more water.
Right.
Get on a goal of just trying to at least finish a gallon or almost a gallon per day, because that alone is just going to help you lose weight. If you're training with that, it's going to help you lose weight alone. But if you're training with that flow, that really helps. And then I'll start implementing things later on. And it really only takes for them to see a little bit of results. And then they'll want to be consistent with what's going on. And then I can add more. I'll look at it like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have to agree because, you know, people get into starting a plan and they have like a list of 10 things, right? And then they get frustrated, they lose momentum, and then they say, I can't do this, right? Mm-hmm. So, which leads me into my next question, mindset, right? So starting off with a small number of tasks, but then how important is mindset when we're taking on, you know, making a change or even starting a new program, whether it be nutrition or exercise or whatnot?
Yeah, I think mindset is everything. Very much so in training, but it also goes into other areas of life. I don't know if you guys remember just going to college or going to school. If you have a lot of bad things going on outside, it's going to hinder you when you're trying to study and you're trying to focus and hone in on what you're doing. So you have to, number one, up first, get your mind right. I listen to a lot of motivational podcasts. I'll go on Instagram and use it to like get motivation from other people, like other influencers who are speaking about exercises, who are speaking about business building and stuff like that, just to keep my mind in that set so it doesn't drift. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I keep feeding my brain constantly with things that are going to uplift me.
Absolutely. You know, when I think of mindset also, I think of like little babies, right? Little babies when they're starting to walk and they fall. They don't say to themselves, oh, I'm never going to walk again, right? They get up and they try it again, and they may fall again, and they get up and they keep trying. And when making changes, right, we need to account and we need to know that there may be, you know, derails, right? We may have to get back up and re-strategize, right? But that's okay. That's part of the process of making a change. Because if it was just as easy as just checking it off and like, okay, now we're consistent with a exercise regimen, you know, that's not reality, right? So we need to embrace and know that those derailments may come. Speaking of derailments, right? How do we problem solve for those barriers, right? So everyone is going to, you know, have some sort of barrier, and it hurts my heart when people are like, oh, well, I can't eat more healthy because they don't have those products in my supermarket, or I can't eat more healthy because my family is not going to want to eat fruits and vegetables. So what are some strategies that viewers can start to implement when that talk comes into their head? Because inevitably it will. There's always going to be barriers. There's always going to be challenges that are going to come to kind of halt us from achieving our goals or even making the necessary healthy changes. How can we overcome that? What strategies can we put in place?
Right. So before I even get into that, I wanted to say again, because at one point I was almost 300 pounds. And I remember a former trainer telling me, when you got to that 300 pounds, you weren't born like that.
Right.
How long did it take you, and what have you done to eventually get to 300 pounds? Because it didn't happen where you were just 300 pounds, where you were 200 pounds one day and you were 300 pounds the next day. You understand what I'm saying? So think about it like that. It took that long, and all those bad habits and all that failure to get to that point. Now you have to think about that in reverse. You know what I mean? And as far as implementing healthy foods, I think, just like I was saying with the water, you implement it. Just implement it. Once you start eating those foods on a regular basis, your body is naturally going to start craving those good things that you're feeding it, because it has the essential minerals and vitamins in it to make you feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And, you know, that's all we need to get that momentum going, right? So it's not about, you know, I know a lot of times when people want to start implementing changes on their own, right? And I'm not talking about you go to your doctor and the doctor's like, you need to start losing weight like yesterday because it's starting to affect your overall health. But when we start with smaller goals with a bigger goal in mind, right? Knowing that, okay, right, we have to lose 50 pounds to get to my ideal weight, but you're not gonna lose 50 pounds in 1 month. Why? It would be crazy. It's not gonna be healthy. You're not gonna learn the new behaviors, right, to maintain that. Why would you want to drive yourself crazy in the process, right? You would be running in a caloric deficit. You're going to be cranky. You're going to be moody. You're probably not going to sleep. It's just not going to be a good experience. So really kind of like setting yourself up to achieve your goal is really the name of the game, right? And maybe it'll take you longer than 8-12 weeks to lose those 50 pounds. But what you're doing in the process is you're learning the healthier behavior so that it'll take you the long run. Because like you said, you didn't gain 50 pounds overnight. It took time. It took habits. So it's going to take some time to reverse that as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that we agree on that, because, you know, when clients and individuals come in, they're like, well, I need to lose 50 pounds by like next week when I'm going to some party. And it's like, or vacation, or a wedding, or a reunion of some sort. And it's like, that will not take you to your goals, unfortunately, right? You want to learn healthier behaviors, because that's how you're going to be able to get to all the rest of your life and maintain health, reverse disease, keep that ideal body weight, and ultimately have energy, sleep better, feel better about yourself, about your body. It'll keep you off prescription medications, and that's what I'm all about, right? Not taking prescription medications. If we can avoid it, if we can prevent it, if we can reverse it, which we absolutely can through lifestyle medicine, these interventions that include nutrition, exercise, stress management, sleep, and positive psychology. So that's where that mindset comes into play, right? Really talking good things to ourselves, surrounding ourselves with good thoughts as well. So progress over perfection, right? How do you feel about that statement?
That's a pretty much obvious one, progress.
Progress.
All day long. Yep.
All day
because
long.
Because you can do the paralysis analysis perfection type of thing, but that's not really helpful.
Right. Who's perfect?
I don't know anyone.
I don't know anyone. I do not know anyone who is perfect. And progress, again, when we're talking sustainable long-term health, like the baby who falls down and gets back up and thinks about, okay, how am I going to learn how to take my second step, my third step, my fourth step? When it comes to making health changes, health behavioral changes, it's all learning a new process, right? Because nutrition, if you're not used to eating certain foods, you have to retrain your taste buds by starting small, adding on different foods so that your taste buds change, so that the foods taste different. Learning how to cook in ways that those healthy and nutritious foods taste better. Exercise, gaining strength, gaining endurance, learning what type of exercise you like. I hate CrossFit. I hate, so that wouldn't work for me long term. But I love Zumba. I can dance all night long. Good cardio exercise, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that when you were talking about mindset earlier, and it made me think about something else. Like, have you ever heard of Eric Thomas?
Actually, I haven't. Tell us about
Eric Thomas. See, like, what I'll do is because some days I don't feel like working out every day, even though I'm in great shape. Is I'll throw Eric Thomas on and listen to him for about maybe like 10, 15 minutes. My mood has changed. I will then take that excitement into the gym with me.
That's a good.
That's a little trick on how you can defeat those days where you're like, you don't feel like doing it.
Right. Because those days are going to come. And that's why I say we need to think about, and since we're all different, right, we all have different things that are barriers, right? For me, it's cold winter days when it's dark outside, and the morning time is the only time I have to work out, right? So I'm like, we need to set your clothes out ahead of time. We need to maybe set an additional alarm. I need to remember why I need to get up at 4 a.m. It's not punishment. Like, healthy behaviors is not punishment on ourselves, right? It's an investment in our health. It's an investment in, the way we live. And we just need to figure out the strategy that works for us, because what might work for me might not work for Danny, might work for you, etc. So,
and just like you said, not to cut you off, but like you said, like, it's not. Once you get into the habit of doing it, it seems like the work part is not there anymore. It's just a part of your life. You're just going, and then you recognize, wow, I have all this time to get all these things done because I got up extra earlier.
Yeah. So we're going to continue this conversation. When we come back, we're going to take a commercial break, but stay with us because we're going to talk about what the one thing Danny does every single day that helps his health. We're going to talk about goal strategizing and other things. So we'll see you back here.
Aloha, Joe Silva here with Kukua Technologies. I'm excited to see you on Tuesdays on Morning Coffee for our tech tips.
Let's face it, lawyers get a bad rap. I'm Erin Brucey, host of Legal Breakdown, where we dissect legal topics for the everyday viewer. With a mix of interesting guests, To talk about current events and hot legal topics, let's work together to make the law accessible and relevant to everyone. Catch us every week on RVN Television.
A stroke can be easy to detect. A loved one can't speak, perhaps they can't move. But there's another sign of a stroke that many of us can't see. It's called spatial neglect, and it can occur during or after a stroke, causing distorted visual movements. Fortunately, there's a solution by using optical prism technology during rehabilitation. If you or a loved one have experienced a stroke, ask your doctor about spatial neglect. Spatial neglect. See the whole picture at KesslerFoundation.org.
Are you part of the Great Resignation? Are you a business owner that would like to diversify your business holdings? Have you always had an entrepreneurial itch but did not have a concept to get you started? Milestone Franchising represents over 500 franchise concepts across 30 industries. Concepts range from $20,000 to $6 million, and they can be home-based, office-based, mobile, or brick and mortar. We guide you through the process to select which concept is best for you based upon your core competencies, your interests, and your financials. Milestone Franchising is part of the International Franchise Professionals Group, IFPG, and will bring a host of resources to assist you in your quest for business ownership. When you work with a certified franchise consultant, you gain access to a professional process that helps you succeed in your search for the right placement. Finding the best placement for you within the franchising world of 4,000 concepts is the objective. Matching your skills and goals with a culture that fits you best is the priority. For a free consultation, visit our website at milestonefranchising.com. Milestone Franchising is here to lead you in a new direction.
Welcome back to Six Pillars to Health. My name is Dr. Victoria Collazo, PharmD. I'm a board-certified lifestyle medicine pharmacist, and today we were talking about effective strategies to make behavioral changes and to be successful in doing so. Today we have here personal trainer Daniel Vaxter. He is the CEO of Crash Monkeyz LLC, and we're talking about different strategies to ensure we meet our health goals. Before we took a commercial break, we talked about different ways that you can implement behavior change, problem solve. You know, we talked about mindset. And now I want to ask Danny, what qualities make a great trainer? Because sometimes in order to make behavioral changes to benefit our health, we need some accountability, and hiring a personal trainer or a health coach may just be the way that we reach our goals faster and more efficiently. So Danny, what are some qualities that make a great health coach and personal trainer, since you are a trainer yourself?
I think number one is like, what I took on heavily when I first started training was I have to look like I belong in this position. So that was the extra benefit that I put on myself that just put me above other trainers in the area. And continuing education, you have to be continuing education because things change.
Absolutely.
New information, new data comes in. I think you just have to always stay on point with that. And just like you were saying earlier, you can't train everyone the same, depending on their genetics, their flexibility. There's so many different factors that come into it. That's why I think you have to stay on top of your game by staying continuing to education.
You know, and I have to agree. I've worked out with trainers where, for example, they were solely focused on the scale. Like every time I walked into the gym, I was put on a scale. And sometimes those numbers fluctuate, right? Our weight fluctuates. And that trainer was not up on his continuing education, or maybe he didn't know that weight does fluctuate, right? Whether you work out, your weight in the morning may be different than or it's probably going to be different than your weight in the afternoon. If you're a woman and you're on your cycle, your weight may differ. Whether or not you are hydrated or not hydrated, your weight may differ. So a lot of times I would walk into the gym already in the mindset that he's going to put me on this scale, and if I'm 4 pounds higher than I was the last time I walked in here, he was going to start making me feel like I was eating donuts in the closet at nighttime. And that's not necessarily a good feeling, because remember, we're coming to the gym to learn how to make behavioral changes that are going to impact our health, and we need to be in a good mindset, right? A mindset of, I can do this, there isn't anything impossible, it might take me some time, but I'm getting stronger every day, as opposed to coming through the door and being like, oh, you're 4 pounds. And Danny, please confirm, you can't gain 4 pounds overnight. Like,
No.
I don't think so. I don't care
No.
how many donuts you eat. I don't think you'll gain 4 pounds overnight.
It's what did you eat last night when nobody was looking? It's what you drank right before you came here. You know what I mean? You're just like you were saying with the hormones, especially with females and stuff, you're going to see that fluctuate all the time. When I would weigh my clients, I would space it out. Maybe like every 3 weeks we'll weigh ourselves. And I wouldn't put much pressure on it.
Right.
It wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like all over the client. It was like, we're going to see, just so you can see some type of progress, as well as measurements and all that stuff. Because we have what's called InBody. It's a machine you can stand on. You can read your fat percentages in all of the areas of your body. So that's the best way to look at it. When you're looking for results, usually the first time people can tell is when they're looking in the mirror.
Absolutely, right?
Putting on different clothes.
Yes.
Whoa, this fits different.
Yes. How am I sleeping? How are my energy levels, right? Like, do I feel like I need that afternoon caffeine, right? All of those are ways to measure your progress. Taking pictures from 1 week to the other and comparing how you look, right? So it's not necessarily one number per se. Like, don't judge your progress or take that emotionally by one number on a scale. Who's to even say if that scale is even calibrated, right? Or, you know, it might be putting 2 or 3 pounds on there just because it's not calibrated, for example. So get with a coach, a health coach that gives you different strategies based on yourself, isn't giving you the same recommendations as they're giving everyone else. Look for a coach that lives that lifestyle, right? That is showing you the potential of where you can go. Because honestly, if we as health and wellness professionals can't make the changes, right, how are we going to help you strategize and come up with a plan for you, right? Specifically. Talking about strategizing and goals, right? I guess it goes along the same lines of making behavioral changes for the long term. What are some strategies for setting goals and, to ensure a better chance in keeping them?
Mm-hmm. So what I'll do is I'll hold my clients accountable, but I don't scold them. So I'll have them send me pictures of what they're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's tedious. It's in the way, and I'll do that for as long as the client needs that, and then we'll drop off when it becomes like a lifestyle habit. So that's just one little thing. And then whenever I start a brand new client, I might only start out training them once or twice in the first 2 or 3 weeks, just to get them used to working out, so they can get over that DOMS, which is called delayed onset muscle soreness, but just to give them some confidence, because when you're a new client, you don't want to be running your clients into the ground right away. You want to give them a little leeway so they can see those little bit of goals and little bit of changes. I'll get text messages. Wow, I feel so great. I feel so much better. It's only been 4 days. You know what I'm saying? That's a little win. That's a little win for them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I try to build off of stuff like that, and then as they grow and as they get better, that's when I step it up a little bit higher. I measure them where they're at.
Right. And I think that's so important, when we're even, for us individuals and everyone thinking about making behavioral change, we need to assess our readiness. Like, how ready are we to do this, right? Like, what is our why? Why do we want to do this? And then what's our confidence level, right? If your confidence is a 7, then you can step up to working out maybe 3 times a week. But if your confidence is maybe a 3 or 4, maybe you start out 2 times a week. Wow, this conversation is just going so quickly. Danny, really quickly, since we are almost out of time, I want to know what's one thing that you do every day to maintain your health. Danny and I are both in our 40s, and I don't think we're scared or ashamed to say that. You know, in your 40s, right, that's when those check engine lights start to come on with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. We are trying to avoid that at all costs. So what's one thing that you do every day? And then if you could just tell us how patients can find you, since we are kind of nearing here to the close of this show.
Okay, so one thing I do, like I was telling you earlier, is I take Seamoss.
Right.
So
A plant?
Seamoss is that what you were speaking about, the Seamoss?
Yes.
One of them? Yeah, so one of them would be the Seamoss because it's a superfood and it does a lot of things. I'm the type of person that likes to get some versatility out of my foods. So it helps with removing mucus and toxins out of your body. It helps with raising your white blood cells so you're better able to fight off, you know, cold and virus and diseases. Mucus out your system. People use it also topically on their face, and you know what I mean, for their anti-aging properties. So there's so many things. You got hormones for your iodine levels and your thyroid. There's so much. So I look at that as a preventative approach because I'm getting older. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we can't stop ourselves from dying one day,
Right.
but we can try to make it while we're here as healthy as possible. So that's one of the measures that I take.
Absolutely, right? That's what it's about. Yes, we're gonna die one day, but we don't want to be sick for like half of our life. And then really quickly, Danny, how can viewers reach out to you if they want an online trainer, they're looking for a health coach? How can they find you?
Okay, so you can find me at crashmonkeyz.com, and you can find me on there, and we can connect. Email is crashmonkeyfit@gmail.com, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So nice catching up with you and chatting with you. And this is the conclusion of another episode of 6 Pillars to Health. Please join us next time for more conversation on how we can all prevent, treat, and even reverse chronic diseases in our life. Thank you so much. And until next time, be well.
Thank you.